Welcome back to the series. You are listening to Data Design with Mockup, and I cannot believe we are already on our 5th installment.
It's flying by.
It really is. We've been covering everything from color theory to, user experience, but today is, I think, the big one.
It really is. We're finally stopping to look at the person behind the screen. We're tackling the career path itself.
Exactly. Date stamped February 5th, 2026. We are opening up the Power BI Developer Career Guide.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever looked at the booming tech market and wondered, how do I actually get a foot in that door? Or if you're just tired of Excel crashing all the time, this deep dive is for you.
It's such a fascinating time to get into this field because, even just 3 years ago, being a developer in this space meant something totally different. You were just the report guy, sitting in the corner making pie charts. In 2026, you're an architect of business intelligence. The tools, the expectations, the salary, well, they've all moved up.
Oh, we are definitely going to talk about the money. I saw some numbers in the research for entry-level pay that really made my eyebrows go up.
Right.
But before we get to the paycheck, I want to start with something that connects correctly to why we call this series Data Design. The source material makes a really interesting point about planning.
Right. The old measure twice, cut once philosophy.
Precisely. The guide says very explicitly that before you ever open Power BI, before you write a single line of code, you need a plan. And that's where wireframing comes in, with tools like mockup.ai.
This is such a crucial distinction. It's what separates the amateurs from the pros.
How so?
I've seen so many junior developers fail right here. They open Power BI, drag in this massive data set, and just start, throwing visuals on the canvas.
It's like building a house without a blueprint.
That's the perfect analogy. You end up with a mess, and you usually have to just tear it all down and start over.
That sounds incredibly frustrating. But the temptation is just to get started, right?
Of course. But a good developer starts with that wireframe. A tool like Mockup isn't just for making pretty pictures. It forces you to answer the hard questions first.
Questions like what, exactly?
Like, what is the most important number on the screen? Or where does the user click next? What's the information hierarchy?
And if you're trying to figure that out while wrestling with a 50 million row data set,
you're going to burn out. You'll be waiting for the query to load every single time you move a box 3 pixels to the left.
That's a great point. So the guide says, use a tool like Mockup, define the layout, get the sign-off, and then build the engine.
Exactly. And once that blueprint is set, that's when you really step into the role of the Power BI developer.
Okay, so let's define that role. Because I think there's a huge misconception that this is just super Excel. If I'm a wizard at VLOOKUP and pivot tables, am I basically 90% of the way there?
I wish it were that simple. I really do. But no. The source defines a Power BI developer as a core part of the analytics team, and the difference is structural. Excel is a spreadsheet. Power BI is a system.
Okay, break that down for me. What makes it a system?
Think of Excel like a personal notebook. It's isolated. If you have a spreadsheet and I have one, we might have different numbers for total sales,
Right, because we use different filters or something.
Exactly. Power BI is about building a semantic model.
A semantic model.
Yeah.
That sounds complicated.
It just means one version of the truth. As a developer, you aren't just making a chart. You're building a centralized engine that defines what profit actually means for the whole company.
So it's less about typing numbers into a grid and more about plumbing.
In a way, yes, you're building the pipeline, and the guide breaks down why companies are moving away from Excel. It's not that Excel is bad, it just has its limits. The biggest one is volume.
Oh, we've all been there. Your computer fan sounds like a jet engine taking off.
Exactly. Now imagine 50 million rows. Excel would just crash. Power BI excels at that. And beyond volume, there's connectivity.
Okay.
It has built-in tools to talk to APIs, pull from the cloud, from SQL databases, and maybe most importantly for 2026, it does this in real time.
That real-time piece is huge. You're not looking at a report from last month. You're looking at what happened 5 minutes ago.
Right. And that changes the pressure on the developer. If a spreadsheet is wrong, you fix it. If a real-time dashboard is wrong, the CEO could make a bad decision within the hour.
The stakes are just so much higher.
They really are.
So that brings us to what's new for 2026. Because if you learned Power BI back in, say, 2023, you might be a little out of date.
You'd be significantly out of date. The guide points to a major shift. The role now combines analytics with automation and AI. The big headline is Microsoft Copilot.
Ah, the robot in the room. So does this mean I don't need to learn to code? Can I just tell Copilot, build me a dashboard, and, go grab a coffee.
Not quite. And this is a really crucial distinction. The source emphasizes that AI is a force multiplier, not a replacement.
Like a very smart junior assistant sitting next to you.
That's a great way to put it. It's about natural language processing. In the past, writing DAX, that's the formula language Power BI uses, was notoriously difficult.
I've heard it described as math and poetry having a messy breakup.
That is the best description I've ever heard. And it's true. You could spend hours trying to find a missing comma. In 2026, you can just tell Copilot, generate a measure to compare this year's sales to last year's sales, and it provides the code.
So it removes the blank page syndrome.
Exactly. It removes the drudgery. It lets the developer focus on the business logic. The machine does the repetitive coding, but the human has to understand why that code matters.
Which honestly sounds like a better job anyway. Less syntax hunting, more thinking.
For sure.
Now, speaking of the job, let's get to the reward. What is the market paying for this skill set in 2026?
The numbers are strong. According to the Glassdoor data in our source for the U.S. market, an entry-level Power BI dev is looking at around $92,998 a year.
That includes bonuses, right?
That includes bonuses.
That is a very healthy starting line, almost 6 figures right out of the gate.
It is, and it scales. A senior developer, maybe with 15-plus years of general data experience, is looking at about $112,000. But here's where it gets really interesting. The pivot.
The pivot.
Yeah, the role is a launch pad.
Mm-hmm.
You're working with data that leadership cares about. You're in the room with them.
So you get visibility.
Right. And that leads to management. An analytics manager can scale up to almost $170,000. Or you can pivot to data science, which can go up to around $158,000.
You start building dashboards, you end up running the intelligence unit.
Yeah.
That's a solid trajectory.
A very solid one.
But to get that paycheck, you have to do the work. So what does the day-to-day actually look like?
It's a mix. The backbone of the job, according to the text, is data modeling.
Which is not the sexy part.
No, but it's the most important part. It's where you create the star schema.
Okay, you dropped a term there, star schema. Let's explain that for everyone.
Sure. Imagine a central table of all your sales transactions. That's the center of your star. Then you have other tables connected to it, like points on the star. One for dates, one for customers, one for products.
You're wiring them all together.
Exactly. If you do it right, your report is lightning fast. If you do it wrong, it's slow and frustrating.
Got it. And then there's integration.
Yes. You're the bridge. You're writing SQL queries or using ETL tools to pull data from everywhere, spreadsheets, APIs, you name it.
I assume you have to clean it all up too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
The data janitor part of the job, dates formatted wrong, misspelled names. Use Power Query to fix all that. It's a huge chunk of the work.
and the skills needed for this have shifted. The source lists some skills that matter more now in 2026. What stands out to you?
The shift to enterprise scale, it's moving away from I made a report on my laptop to I built a system for the company. Employers now want knowledge of Microsoft Fabric and Lakehouse architectures.
Lakehouse architectures. Is it just a buzzword?
It sounds like one, but it solves a real problem. It's just a way of storing massive amounts of data efficiently. As a developer, you need to know how to connect to that.
And with that scale comes security, I'm guessing. I saw RLS mentioned.
Yes, row-level security. This is critical.
Okay.
So imagine one sales report for the whole company. You don't want the manager in France seeing the U.S. sales data.
Definitely not.
With RLS, you build one report, but when the French manager logs in, the system dynamically filters the data so they only see France.
That sounds high stakes if you mess that up.
You leak confidential data. That's why governance and security are now top skills.
Got it. Okay, so if I'm listening and thinking, I want that $92,000 salary, how do I get there? Let's walk through the zero to hero roadmap from the guide.
Sure. Step one is actually back to basics. Excel in Google Sheets.
Wait, didn't we just say Excel is limited?
We did, but you have to walk before you can run. You need to understand formulas and just how data is structured in tables. You need that tabular thinking.
Fair enough. So, step one, basics. Step two.
Fundamentals. Download Power BI Desktop. It's free, and just start exploring. See how a bar chart tells a different story than a scatter plot. Build that data literacy.
And then step three is the heavy lifting.
Data modeling. I can't stress this enough. This is the difference between painting a car and building its engine.
And step four is the advanced stuff Power Query, DAX, RLS. But I want to pause on step five because this brings us full circle. The source talks about building a portfolio, but specifically mentions wireframing.
This is the strategic edge. The guide advises using mockup.ai before you build. And here's why that's so smart for a portfolio.
Why is that?
Because it shows you understand the design process.
Right, you're not just showing the final product.
Yeah. Exactly. Most candidates just post a link. But imagine you show the before and after. Here's the mockup wireframe where I plan the user journey. And then here's the final Power BI build.
That tells a story.
It proves you're a thinker, not just a tool jockey. And the source mentions mockup has AI features and BI export option, so you can show you have an efficient workflow. Hiring managers love that.
That is a great tip. Put the wireframe next to the final product. So how long does this whole process take?
It's faster than a university degree, that's for sure. The guide estimates you can grasp the basics in about 4 to 6 weeks.
That's incredibly fast.
Do the basics. To get to the advanced level where you're really comfortable, you're probably looking at 3 to 6 months of consistent practice.
Still, that's an amazing timeline for a career pivot.
Yeah.
And do I need to be a coder?
The short answer is no, but with an asterisk. You don't need to know Java or C++, no. But knowing DAX and SQL makes you way more competitive. It's low code, not no code.
Got it. So we know the what and the how. Let's look at the why. Why is the market going crazy for this role in 2026?
It's 3 big market forces. First, digitization. Companies are just drowning in data and starving for wisdom.
Great line. Drowning in data, starving for wisdom.
Second is speed, real-time reporting. Companies need to know what happened this morning to pivot their strategy by lunch.
You can't wait for the monthly report anymore.
You're already behind. And the third is competitive edge. This was a fascinating point. It's not just about looking at your data. It's about finding weaknesses in your competitors' data.
That changes the role from just reporting the news to making the strategy. It's offensive, not defensive.
Precisely. And that's why the job titles are evolving. You'll see analytics engineer by consultant, and now fabric analytics developer.
Fabric analytics developer. That sounds very 2026.
It really does. But it reflects the reality. It's a hybrid role, part tech, part business, part designer.
So let's wrap this up. If you're listening, you're looking at a field where entry-level pay is north of $90,000. It's a field that requires a mix of technical skills like DAX and SQL and design thinking, starting with tools like mockup for wireframing.
And it's a field that's heavily integrated with AI. The tools are getting smarter, so the expectation for high-level thinking, the why, is higher than ever.
It's an exciting roadmap. Start with Excel, master the data model, and build that portfolio that shows your process from wireframe to final build.
That's the path. And please don't skip the wireframing. Fixing a drawing costs nothing. Fixing a deployed data model can cost weeks of work.
Before we sign off, I want to leave the listener with one final thought. We've talked a lot about AI and Copilot doing the heavy lifting.
We have. And this is the bigger picture. In a world where AI can generate the code and tools like mockup can generate a layout, you might wonder, what's left for me?
Yeah, what is my value?
The answer is the why. AI can tell you how to build a chart. It can even tell you what the data says, but it can't understand the business context of why that data matters. The value of the human developer in 2026 isn't in typing syntax correctly, it's in knowing which questions to ask in the first place.
That is the perfect place to leave it. The tools build the house, but you have to be the architect. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Get those wireframes started.
Exactly. This has been Data Designed with Mockup. Start your first wireframe today, and we will catch you in the next deep dive.